According to scholars, there is little mention of Mary, the mother of Christ, in the Christian Bible. She appears nowhere in the Old Testament and is only briefly mentioned in the New Testament. There are no details about her birth, nor of her presumed marriage to Joseph. Her death is not noted in the Bible, and yet Catholicism from its earliest days to the present celebrates Mary during feast days and festivals, and in its art, even though she's relatively invisible in the New Testament. Post-biblical scholars elaborated the stories of Mary to engage contemporaneous populations in the new religion of Christianity, while other scholars note that pagan societies who were reluctant to give up their own religious mother-goddess symbols simply replaced one with the other. As Professor Zoe Marie Jones points out in her review of my original paper, the collection of stories about saints compiled by Jacobus de Voragine, entitled The Golden Legend, is likely to be a source of many of the stories about Mary that appear in the Italian Renaissance, as the collections were extremely popular in the decades before the beginning of the Renaissance. Much Italian Renaissance art focuses on aspects of Mother Mary, from the Annunciation, through her pregnancy, to her journey into Jerusalem on an ass, to the manger scene, to her nursing the baby Jesus, to bouncing him on her knee, to fixing an adoring gaze upon him, to the grief foreshadowed on her face when she contemplates her son's future, to her actual grief at the foot of the cross, and finally, to her assumption into heaven upon her death. Quite interesting to me is the fact that of the dozens of paintings of Mary, the Mother of God, that are reproduced in the text for our class on Italian Renaissance art, none portrays Mother Mary in the most motherly of all acts, nursing her infant son. This omission is certainly not due to lack of subject material, as there was a rich collection of paintings of Mary as a nursing mother in the Italian Renaissance. Beyond Italy, paintings of Mother Mary nursing her infant were common until they were covered over during the Protestant Reformation out of concerns that the images were idolatrous in nature. The genre even has an Italian name, Madonna Lactans. Now, I want to talk about the functions of the Nursing Mary of God paintings. Religious art during the Italian Renaissance served many functions, including education about Christianity for an illiterate public. Girls and women were taught to look to Mother Mary as the ultimate and exemplary womanhood, teaching lessons about humility, purity, passivity, subservience to God, and idealized motherhood. The images of Mother Mary nursing Christ would convey important messages about maternal dedication to infant nutrition and health, especially during the times when infant mortality was exceptionally high, and women were held accountable for successful births of healthy infants. During the early part of the Renaissance, Florence, like other regions in Italy and beyond, was beset by a series of plagues and famines. Like her historical pagan Ephesian predecessor, Artemis, who was also celebrated as a virgin, images of Mother Mary were thought to have protective value against pandemic cycles, and were commonly displayed on civic banners as well as in paintings. Thus, the images of Mother Mary nursing her plump, rosy-cheeked son must have carried special significance for a population beleaguered by food shortages, malnutrition, disease, and high infant mortality. Italians of the era would have believed the nourishment of boy babies to be especially important, and thus the paintings of Mary as the nursing mother of Christ would have been especially appreciated. As I mentioned earlier, Italian paintings depicting Mother Mary nursing her son were known as Madonna Lactans, and reflected contemporaneous ideas about the importance of breastfeeding, as well as ideas about women's bare breasts. The meaning of the exposed breast, far from being sexualized as we would interpret it today, in those days symbolized maternal ideals of nurturance and care. It wasn't until the Protestant Reformation when Mary's bare breast became sexualized, and thus largely hidden from view. Further, depicting Mother Mary as nursing her infant son worked to humanize both Mary and Jesus for Italians. Leonardo da Vinci's Madonna and Child perfectly exemplifies the functions of the nursing mother of God, as well as the absolute beauty of the genre. Mother Mary gazes adoringly down at the infant Jesus, her hair ribbon leading viewers' eyes towards the baby. Jesus, meanwhile, looks straight at the viewer while nursing, his hand grasping his mother's breast in a realistic manner. Mary's facial expression is serene, and it is clear, like any mother, she adores her new baby son. People viewing this painting would absolutely understand the vital role that Mother Mary plays in the Christian theology of the day. Mary is pure, she is innocent, she is beautiful, and she is contented to be a mother. Interestingly, although there are many paintings that fit into the nursing mother symbol system, one of the most important artists of the Italian Renaissance, Raphael, apparently never painted one. There are many of his drawings of the subject which demonstrated his interest in the topic, but if he finished a painting of a nursing Madonna with a bare breast, it did not survive. However, he did complete a painting where the infant Jesus is tugging at Mother Mary's dress, in a scene which one commenter on a blog notes portrays the pair as having just completed nursing because the infant has that, quote, drunk expression. In this painting, Mother Mary, dressed in the genteel fashion of the day, is gazing adoringly at her son, while a chubby Jesus looks straight at the viewer with what appears to be a happy, contented, and milk-drunk expression. It's interesting to consider the effect that the chubbiness and contentedness of the infant would have had on a viewer of the day during a plague or famine, as well as during the long historical period when childbirth was so very dangerous for both mothers and babies. What are the origins of the nursing mother of God, you may ask? Well, the earliest known example of Mary nursing her son is a fresco in the catacombs of Priscilla, dated about 230 CE in Rome. Here, the Virgin Mother and Child are accompanied by Balaam, a prophet who appears in both the Old and the New Testament. But there's no question that the ancient Mother Goddess and other non-Christian female-centric religions influenced early Christian theology, and thus remnants of their existence continue to be visible in the visual arts, myths, and beliefs of the Italian Renaissance. Christian theologians pieced together the story of Mother Mary largely from these older beliefs about mother goddesses that were based on the popular imagination of the people at the time, and from religious texts other than the Christian Bible. It was through the visual arts that the stories about Mother Mary have thrived for so many centuries. Indeed, as one scholar notes about frescoes, statues, carvings, icons, and other symbolic art, quote, goddesses have suckled their divine offspring as far back as discovered civilization. Many art historians, especially feminist ones, have convincingly argued that images of Mother Mary nursing the infant Jesus are rooted in similar iconography depicting the much earlier Egyptian goddess Isis nursing the infant Horus. The claim is based not only on the similarities in the subject matter of the art, but also on the fact that the Christianization process in the Italian Renaissance, as was true elsewhere, depended on common people recognizing their traditional religious elements and practices in the new religion. However, some scholars acknowledge the similarity in the iconographic of the two mothers. At least one study argues against making a strong connection between the cult of Isis and the cult of the Virgin Mary. According to this theory, because Isis was a mother goddess, the milk she offers to her infant carries divine properties and will award divinity to the infant Horus. However, the milk offered by Mary does not carry divine properties, as she's still considered to be only a vessel to deliver the divine Christ child to the world. The infant Jesus is already considered to be divine without the breast milk of his mother. There are counter-arguments, though, about the power of Mary's breast milk. Outside of Italy, there are numerous milk shrines, that to this day celebrate drops of Mary's breast milk as sacred relics. And then there are the images of Mary squirting her breast milk to grant St. Bernard his great wisdom. In the genre of the lactation of St. Bernard, Mary's milk itself is holy and powerful. Perhaps you might wonder why the genre of the nursing mother of God fell out of favor. Why would our textbook neglect to mention the multiple paintings of the most intimate act of motherhood, that of feeding the Son of God? Most likely, the omission reflects how the genre of Madonna, Lactans, fell out of favor after the 1545 to 1563 Council of Trent discouraged unseemly images of Christian religious figures that included wombs, breasts, pregnancy, blood, breast milk, and other evidence of human, and especially female, bodies. The religious movement known as the Protestant Reformation that swept over Europe during the 16th century sought to hide Mary's physicality, as well as the physicality of other saints, and even of Jesus himself, out of fears that the icons themselves would become objects of worship. Gone from mainline Protestant churches are the elaborate paintings, sculptures, and other references to the actual bodies of Christ and other biblical characters. They have been largely replaced by symbols, like doves, crosses, florals, hearts, etc. Interestingly, some contemporary Catholic scholars advocate for a reinvigoration of visual images of Mary nursing her infant son, as well as images of Mary being impregnated, as pregnant, and as giving birth. These scholars believe that helping contemporary people to see Mary as pregnant, birthing, and nursing would assist the pro-life social movement against abortion by stimulating contemporary audiences to recognize divinity in all human life. The Nursing Mother of God paintings are gorgeous, and even though many were destroyed across Europe and beyond during religious and civic transformations, many survive to this day. I believe it is important that art historians increase the focus on these lovely works of art so that contemporary audiences can enjoy them and celebrate their symbolic messages.